Welcome to The Holistic Entrepreneur with holistic nurse practitioner, author, and success coach, Bonnie Gressel. Bonnie will support, nurture, and inspire you by helping turn your life's passion into your life's work. Now, please welcome the host of The Holistic Entrepreneur, Bonnie Gressel.
Welcome, everyone. This is your host, Bonnie Gressel, here at the Holistic Entrepreneur Talk Radio Show. And I'm here tonight on the BBM Global Network, TuneIn Radio, and Box. And as I continue to expand the reach of this show, I am so excited to announce that the Holistic Entrepreneur can also now be found on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Speak Up Talk Radio, and Spreaker, as well as the Holistic Entrepreneur channel on YouTube. So please subscribe and share this information so that we can reach more people with motivation, inspiration, and great insights from the show to help you get one step closer to living your dream as a holistic entrepreneur. Now, I'm so excited to share another great guest with you this evening. J.V. Crum III is here, founder of ConsciousMillionaire.com. And I am super excited to have JV here tonight to share his insights and expertise with us. Oh my goodness, I can hardly wait. I'm really looking forward to this show, and I know that you are too. And I'm going to introduce JV right after our first break, so stay tuned. Now, being a holistic entrepreneur is, to me, really more a mindset than what you actually do for a living. You see the person that you're working with as a whole. You come from that heart-centered place in your work. To me, that's really more a philosophy. So perhaps that's you, and that's why you've decided to join us here on the show tonight. Now, if this is your first time listening in, welcome. And if you tuned in before, welcome back. It's going to be another great show. I appreciate you spending your valuable time with us here on the show. I always want to make sure that these shows are value-packed so that you feel that your time was well spent. And you're not going to be disappointed tonight. Now, I have a question for you. Are you sharing your expertise with others in the biggest way possible? You know, I think that we all have a book inside of us. And today, it's much easier to be published as an author than it ever has been before. I know that you have a message to share. A message that can help so many ways to start, but with a book. And you can reach people everywhere. Plus, it's a springboard for products and services to create that successful business, bringing you the health and happiness and abundance that you deserve. You might want to check out the webinar that I have on the Holistic Entrepreneur YouTube channel. It's called The Release the Author in You. It's about a 30-minute webinar about writing and publishing, so that you too can share your message with the world. Now, you can get the latest news from me on our Facebook community page, and that's called Holistic Entrepreneur Talk Radio. So just search for that. It should come up. If there are things that you would like to see addressed or talked about on this show, please send me a message on the Facebook page. I mean, you can always connect with me at bonniegressel.com as well, but the Facebook page is another place where we can connect. I really want to see us grow this community. So like the page if you do, and together we can make a difference. And don't forget about all the free stuff I have for you on my main website, which is bonniegressel.com. I believe in you, and I know that you are meant to do great things and to be prosperous. You know, as I was thinking about the show tonight, it got me to thinking about how common it is for especially new entrepreneurs to not dream big enough. You know, we sometimes sell ourselves short when it comes to imagining what we can achieve, both financially and the transformation that we can bring to other people's lives. Many of us, as holistic entrepreneurs, certainly desire financial freedom, but we also want to make a difference in the world, stand for something. You know, we want to impact lives and leave our mark, so to speak. Many new entrepreneurs struggle with the imposter syndrome. You know, the who am I? Who am I that people are going to want to listen to me or buy my services or products or pay me their hard-earned money for my expertise? I'm not famous or successful like so-and-so is. But you know, we all have to start somewhere. There is no one in the world who does what you do exactly the way you do it. We all bring our own flavor to what work we do in the world. We're all individuals, just like our clients are all individuals too. Don't ever forget how unique you are and the unique gift that you bring, and only you can bring, that no one else can. There are people out there who resonate with you and your gifts and money because they want what you have. They resonate with who you are. I always say there are no accidents. I believe we connect with those that we're meant to on this path called life. You know, whether it's a business connection or the clients you serve or the people you meet on the street. There are no accidents. Now, motivation is something I think we all need to get what we want, whether it's in business or maybe you want to lose some weight or get in shape. You know, whatever the goal is, we need to stay motivated. So what motivates you as a holistic entrepreneur? Perhaps it's that you can see or you can imagine your dream. Maybe it's just plain persistence and that you're not willing to give up. Maybe you're a little stubborn like me. Maybe it's that drive to be financially free. Something I do every day, and about the past 6 years or so, is to journal the future. It's a little bit different way to approach journaling. There are lots of ways to journal, and they're all good for their purpose. But for me, journaling the future is my motivation. It's also a wonderful way to have a gratitude practice and an awesome way to start my day. So when I journal the future, I begin with a short meditation, just some time to sort of get me into that frame of mind. So as I imagine how I want my life to be, as though I'm really there. And then I take a small journal and my special purple pen on top of the page, but then I put my life out into the future. So this year, all year, I've been writing about the end of 2015, as though it's December 31st, 2015. And I write about all the things that happened and the feeling of gratitude I have as I've experienced all the goals that I've met, feeling what it's like to be financially free, as an example. It just puts a smile on my face to write about that stuff. So I fill up one side of one page, and I get so excited that I don't think anybody can really read my writing by the end of it. And then I express my gratitude for all that I've written about and imagined. And I feel as though I'm there now at the end of 2015. Being still is also important to keep me motivated. You know, and that's why I begin journaling the future with that little just minute or two of stilling my mind. So meditation or paying attention to simple breathing, going for a jog out in the nature trails around our house, sitting and doing nothing but clearing my mind. As silly as it sounds, picking raspberries. You know, we've got lots of raspberries in our garden right now, and it's kind of a mindless task, as long as you don't pick up a bee while you're picking something. That's when some of the best ideas come to me. To me, a daily routine and healthy mindset about money are so important. And I think we're going to hear a lot more from our guest tonight. I'm so excited to have J.B. Crum III with us tonight. And I'm going to introduce him right after this short break. I'm Bonnie Gressel here at The Holistic Entrepreneur, and we're going to be right back, everyone.
Writing a book has become the business card of today's successful entrepreneur. The challenge is producing a book that showcases your professionalism and expertise. Now you can join other holistic-minded practitioners by leveraging the entrepreneur and author coaching services of Bonnie Gressel. Bonnie shares your belief in the power of the mind-body-spirit connection, and she has experience in using a book to grow a business from the ground up. If you're like most people, you have no idea how to even begin the process of writing a book, much less getting it published. You can shorten your learning curve with Bonnie's individualized coaching and the publishing services she and her team provide. Whether your entrepreneurial challenges are strategic, technological, or you need an accountability partner, you can achieve your dream faster with the help of Bonnie's individualized coaching. Contact Bonnie for a free, no-obligation consultation to discuss your business goals and the book inside of you. Go to BonnieGressel.com, BonnieGroessl.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to The Holistic Entrepreneur. I'm Bonnie Gressel, your host, and I'm here tonight with J.V. Crum III. I am so excited to introduce him to you. Now, J.V. Crum III helps entrepreneurs grow 6- and 7-figure conscious businesses that combine making high profits with making a positive impact. He's a speaker, coach, Huffington Post columnist, and best-selling author of Conscious Millionaire, Grow Your Business by Making a Difference. He hosts the top-ranking Conscious Millionaire podcast and is the founder of ConsciousMillionaire.com, a global coaching and wealth product business. He holds a lot of degrees. He holds an MBA, a JD, a master's in psychology, and he's built and sold many successful companies. JV, welcome. I am so excited that you've taken time out of your busy life to come spend some time with us here at the show.
Well, Bonnie, actually, it's my honor, and thank you so much for having me on.
JV, I read a little bit about, people in their bio, actually, obviously when I introduce them, but your journey and what brings you to who you've become today?
Well, actually, I think it begins at 5 years of age. I grew up out in the country. It was just a little country town in the middle of Florida on a 4-by-5 mile lake, and maybe there were 200 or 300 people there, but everybody pretty struggled. They just got by, and that was my family as well. My dad farmed, and my mom was a school teacher. And by the age of 5, you can look back and you find humor in life a lot of times because, we just had enough to get by, and I knew when we went to the grocery store not to ask for the candy bar because Mom kept finances, and she did a great job because we didn't have much. But there was a list, and that was it, and you weren't going to get an extra candy bar. So one day, when we're little, we have these big open minds about what's possible, and we dream and we become kings and queens and heroes and action figures, right? Mm-hmm. And I went, what is the answer to this problem? And the real problem I think I was talking about was how to get the candy bar when I went to the grocery store. I dreamed big, and I said, I know. When I grow up, I'll be a millionaire, right? Because on television, the millionaires lived in really nice houses and drove really nice cars and didn't seem to have any problems with money. And I was sure that they could get the candy bar, right? So I ran in the house. I told my mom and dad, like I had discovered water, right? I looked up. I go, when I grow up, I'm going to be a millionaire. Now, remember, my mom shook her fingers at me and said, don't tell anyone. Now, when I went to write my book, Conscious Millionaire, Grow Your Business by Making a Difference, my editor said, you've got to tell your story. So that made me wrestle with what was Mom talking about? Why did my mom say such a thing? Now, of course, I don't want you to be in suspense. As a little boy, I ran around and I told everybody I was going to be a millionaire when I grew up. And there were a lot of older women because their husbands had died, and it was a beautiful place, just nobody had money. And I was really friends with them. I'd go around and talk to them. I'd go, hey, I'm going to be a millionaire. And I could just imagine now that they probably looked at each other and go, isn't he cute? He's going to be a millionaire when he grows up, right? But that didn't faze me at all because I was 100% in. I never once doubted it from that moment forward. I knew it was my destiny. And by the time I was 8, I was drawing floor plans for mansions, and I'd never been to a mansion, but it's really funny when I look back and go, but what was in that floor plan? Well, I like to eat. I'd already figured that part out, and I like to have parties. I mean, what do 8-year-olds do, right? So I created 3 rooms for eating. There was this big, elaborate breakfast room, a big lunchroom, and a big dining room, and then there was this huge party room. I think in the old days they call it a ballroom, right? But I called it a party room. And then out back there was this Olympic-sized pool, with cabanas. There were no bedrooms because at 8 I hadn't figured out any reason to want to go to the bed because I hated going to bed. And there weren't any garages because I didn't want to drive. I didn't know how to drive. So I just had a house that had a kitchen, 3 dining rooms, a big party room, and a pool. And for me, that was my idea of a mansion, right? That's all I needed when I grew up. So it's really funny when you look back. But you go back to my mom and shaking her fingers at me. So when I was writing the book, I said, what was my mom's positive intention? Because my mom certainly didn't want bad things for me. My parents definitely were the quintessential American family that wanted their child to be better than what they had, and I knew that growing up. Well, we happened to, in this little town, live across the street from the church, and we were the family that ran the country church, right? And so this is a really important message because it's one that so many people get on many different levels growing up. And now I understood how my parents were so smart but struggled with money. Inside, there was this belief that if you had that much money, you must have done something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're listening and thinking to yourself, well, gosh, that sounds familiar, well, it probably is familiar. Because how many times did we have someone tell us that growing up? You know, you want to grow up to be a good person, but they've got good and almost poverty connected. Whereas I think good and abundance so you can live well and make a big difference ought to be connected.
Yeah, absolutely. I think many people struggle with that. That's such a good point, JV. Oh my goodness. And at that age, I mean, you had your life planned out at age 5. That's awesome.
Well, I knew that I wanted to grow up and be a millionaire because I was not going to live like that. And by the time I was 25, I'd made the first million. I had the 4-story luxury townhouse on the water, the Mercedes. And here's what happened, and it really relates to, you know, what your message is about and what my message is about. But I had to come to it because it's not where I came first. First I wanted the money. And it was really empty and was vapid. And 3 months into this journey of, having this wonderful house and everything, it was on the water. I looked out one day, and I recall it just like I do that 5-year-old experience. And I realized that I was miserable, that my life was... I actually remember saying to myself, I don't even like myself, and I certainly had no idea how to have a relationship. I was just a wreck when it came to having relationships at that point. And I said, something is wrong. And I started looking around, and I said, I'm missing something, but I don't know what it is. I literally spent the next 15 years, you know, running the companies. I got a law degree. I got an MBA. I was doing all that kind of like that was the background, even though it took a lot of the time. Because what was most important to me is I was running off to go to sweat lodges, to go to spiritual retreats, to go to Tony Robbins, to read every personal development, Wayne Dyer, right? All of those, I was reading them growing up. From my 20s to my 30s, something is just wrong, and I'm looking for... And finally, I realized what was really wrong is that I was all about personal development. It was all about helping people wake up to their potential, but I wanted to really help people, and what I was doing didn't feel like it was meaningful for me. It wasn't my calling. And I said, I've got to find a different answer.
Oh. Yeah, well, we're going to take a short break, JB, but when we come back, I want to hear about the different answer that you found and how you got there. This is Bonnie Gressel here at The Holistic Entrepreneur, and I'm here tonight with JB Crum, who's the founder of ConsciousMillionaire.com, and you guys are in for a real treat. If you're tuning in right now, you're not going to want to leave. We're going to have a great show. So we're going to be right back, everyone.
Do you dream of building a business in which you can share your expertise and gifts with others? A business that allows you to actively pursue your passion. If you're like most people, you've put that dream on the back burner because the mountain of details is just too overwhelming. Now you can join other holistic-minded practitioners in leveraging the entrepreneur coaching services of Bonnie Gressel. Bonnie shares your belief in the power of the mind-body-spirit connection, and she has experience in growth. Whether your challenges are strategic, technological, or you want to create a platform that promotes your expert status, even by publishing a book, you can achieve your dream quicker with the help of Bonnie's individualized coaching. Contact Bonnie for a free, no-obligation consultation at BonnieGressel.com. That's BonnieGressel.com.
Welcome back to The Holistic Entrepreneur, everyone. I'm your host, Bonnie Gressel, and I'm here tonight with JV Crum III, founder of ConsciousMillionaire.com. And just before the break, JV was telling us about how he knew at age 5 he was going to be a millionaire and told everyone in his neighborhood that, and actually did achieve that in his early 20s, but something was missing. There was a void, and he wasn't really quite there. The money that wasn't everything. So JV, tell us what came next, how you found the answer, and how you got there.
Well, I decided that what I was doing was not meaningful for me. It was clearly not what I was supposed to be doing with my life, although I did learn a lot about the mechanics and systems and how to build a business. So I sold the companies, which my dad and I actually owned together, so that took some convincing. And I said, I'm going to go off and I got to take my journey. I have to go find what I would now call my dharma, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went off on a journey, and the first thing I did was I had a Grand Cherokee. Now, this is really interesting what happened, because it became a metaphor for the entire rest of my life. And I had planned for a year and a half, because that's how long it took. I handled, and I'm an attorney, I have an MBA. I handled the sale of the companies, and I went through seven negotiations before I got to the one that was right. And as much as I wanted to leave, I was more determined to get the right deal that was going to work for everybody. Mm-hmm. And part of that, and I want to share this, because if you own a company and you're ever thinking about selling it, you really got to sit down and ask yourself some value questions. And one of the value questions I asked myself was, what was my obligation to all the people who were working at the company? Because after all, they didn't have the Mercedes. They weren't living on Bayshore. Didn't have the beautiful home. And because they weren't at the top, right? But because of them, I was able to have that life. Mm-hmm. Now we treated people really well, but it was the same token. I had an awareness that I was going to walk away with some money, and they weren't walking away with that. So one of the negotiation pieces, which is one of the reasons it took 7 negotiations, was that everybody there had to be offered the same or similar position at the same or similar amount of money. And that if they wouldn't do that, I wouldn't sell the company. Because I didn't want people to be left, out in the cold. Because it wasn't, just because I wanted one didn't mean their life should be worse. Their life had to be the same. Couldn't be worse because I was leaving. And so we did that, and it really worked out well. Everybody was happy. We sold to another family-owned company, and it was really a good transaction. But in that year and a half, I bought a lot of Lonely Planet books, and I'm looking at North America in particular. And I planned, because I was a planner, still a planner, but now I live a lot more in the flow much of the time. And so I had a 4-month trip all planned out by the day, every place I was going, in the United States and Canada. And so when I left out on the trip, I sold my home, so I was staying at my dad's house for about a week, and I left out and was about an hour and a half in the trip. I was going up in Florida. I was going on 75, and I was planned to go over to the East Coast. You had to take 10, or you continued on 75 and you went up through the center of the country, which was not my plan. And about, maybe 15, 20 minutes before I got to the I-10, all of a sudden inside, you start getting these inklings, right? And you start going, so sure I want to follow the plan. Now, I've spent a year and a half building this plan, studying everything I was going to do, what was in every city, mapping it all out. I mean, it was in detail. Metaphorically, I don't want you to think, because I really love the environment, I did not throw the paper out the window, but metaphorically, I threw the whole plan out the window. And as we now know, I didn't take I-10. I took 75. I went up through the center of the country, and for 4 months, this guy who lived just totally scheduled, made up life every day, and I started to discover myself living in the flow. Mm-hmm. I realized I couldn't even make plans at a bed and breakfast or a hotel a week in advance because I didn't know what was going to happen. So I ended up going 30,000 miles, 4 months, everything but the territories. I did all of Canada, every major city, all the provinces, including Labrador and Newfoundland. And I would stay in bed and breakfast outside of the cities, and I met these amazing people because in Canada, especially the Maritimes, there's not a lot of wealth there. And so bed and breakfasts are typically an extra room in somebody's house. Mm-hmm. Usually a child has gone off to college or has, left the home. As I called it, it's the room they fancied up, right? Because they'd put all this nice, everything would be really nice in it. And I got to know all these amazing people. And every day I learned to ask myself, what was I feeling and where did I want to go that day? And then I carried an ice chest with me because if you've ever been through Ontario or a lot of areas of Canada, you can go 100 miles. There's no gas station. There's no store. And when I felt like I wanted to have lunch, I would find some beautiful place, pull the Jeep off the side of the road or down a little trail and, make a sandwich. And I began to learn to live in a completely new way, which led me, I was in Nova Scotia, and I went by this little sign that said Gampo Abbey, And I had a flashback, and I went, oh my gosh, I remembered like a year and a half before I had read that there was it's the only Tibetan Buddhist monastery in North America, that there was a Tibetan Buddhist monastery called Gampo Abbey, Pema Chodron's monastery. And as life would have it, now this is how the whole trip began. It just began to be exactly like this. As life would have it, I went down this little dirt road and arrived at this little monastery exactly at the moment they're open only once a week for 2 hours.
Wow. There are no accidents.
There are no accidents. And I'm picking up all the material, and I picked up this thing about a retreat. Now, this is October, and there was a retreat for 7 weeks, a closed retreat in January and February. So the next day I woke up and I go, I'm supposed to go to that retreat. And now it took me 10 times over about 4 weeks actually 5 weeks, to call them, and each time they go, I wasn't Buddhist, I'd never meditated, I didn't have any of the qualifications. You were supposed to have meditated for 6 months. I didn't have any of this. So finally on the 10th call, I was in San Francisco then, I remember, and they said, well, we've had a meeting, and we decided if you called again, you were supposed to come.
Oh, that's awesome. That is a fantastic story of your journey, JV. Oh, my goodness. And you're right. The persistence pays off. Well, we're going to take another short break. And when we come back, I want to hear more about, when you got to the monastery and what happened next, and maybe some of the challenges, if you had any challenges along the way. This is Bonnie Gressel here at The Holistic Entrepreneur, and I'm here tonight with JV Crum III, founder of ConsciousMillionaire.com. And after this short break, we're going to be right back to get into more of JV's story.
You're listening to The Holistic Entrepreneur with your host, Bonnie Gressel. The Holistic Entrepreneur is sponsored by M&B Global Solutions, providing individualized coaching for entrepreneurs and authors, as well as book editing and publishing services. To learn more, go to mndbglobalsolutions.com.
You're listening to The Holistic Entrepreneur with Bonnie Gressel. I would love to get your feedback and discover the topics that you would like to hear about on the show. So please leave me a review or connect with me on Facebook by searching Holistic Entrepreneur Talk Radio. My mission is to provide valuable content so that you feel your time is well spent. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share this resource with others. Welcome back to The Holistic Entrepreneur, everyone. I'm your host, Bonnie Gressel, and I'm here tonight with JV Crum III, who's the founder of ConsciousMillionaire.com, and we're having a really great discussion on this last episode, this last segment. We were talking about his journey of sort of finding his purpose or his dharma, and ended up in a monastery because of his persistence. Now, there are lots of light lessons for entrepreneurs listening to the show tonight. Persistence is probably one of them because it gets you places. So, JV, what happened next? You get to the monastery, and then what?
Well, that same day I was in San Francisco. I want to tell you a little bit about what happened in San Francisco because it's really interesting. I had a master's in clinical and testing psych, and I had studied Gestalt psychology. And, of course, kind of the mecca of Gestalt and the human potential is Esalen on the Big Sur coast, and that's esalen.org. And so, but I had never gone there. And I'd always been interested in Esalen. So the same day that I got into the Buddhist monastery, I called Esalen and was able to book a 3-day retreat. Now, it's not that far. It's only 3 hours from San Francisco. Now, I want to tell this little side story. I was in San Francisco for Thanksgiving. And really, it kind of ties into, because persistence is one piece of the story, but the other is what's become my personal motto. It's how I run my business. It's how I do everything in my life. And it's 3 words: trust, perfect timing. I've really completely lived by this. So I get into the monastery at the same day I get into Esalen, which is very cool. But then there's another piece of the synchronicity, because I was staying at a hotel, and the concierge, I wanted to go someplace nice for Thanksgiving. And he says, well, here's the nicest places, but they're all booked. And so he booked me one place, and I thought it was going to be fine, but then I got there, and they closed the ballroom, and they were having it in the cafe, and people were in their jeans, and I was all dressed up, and I said, I'm not going. I'm going to go where I really wanted to go, which was the top of the Mark at the Mark Hopkins Hotel up on Nob Hill. And he couldn't get me in there. All of a sudden, I get this intuition is a flash in my forehead. I see this phrase, I'm the gentleman you've been waiting for, the one without a reservation. And now I've been to San Francisco, but going up Powell Street to Nob Hill is quite a little huff and puff. It's pretty steep. So I kind of huff myself up there. I get there, I go up this elevator to the 18th floor, and I get off in this small lobby for this big dining room, and people are just complaining. Oh my gosh, everybody's reservation is like a half hour late. I just kind of stand there listening to this. I look over. There was the woman who was taking all the reservations and coordinating it all. I walk straight over to her. I look her in the eye, and I said, I'm the gentleman you've been waiting for, the one without the reservation. And she looks at me, and she stops for a couple of seconds. She says, well, give me a moment. She comes back and says, will you follow me? She takes me over to the bar, which is in the corner and has the absolute best view in the entire restaurant. And we're at the about the highest point on Nob Hill. And there are 4 seats there at the bar. And she says, if I set your place here, would that work for you? Like, you went to my permission, right? And I'm going, yes, I think that would work very well. So I ended up there for about 4 hours, became best friends with the bar guy. He gave me, I still have it, this little etching that he did. He had a copy of it that was a San Francisco etching. He says, hey, I want you to have this to, remember your day. All these incredible people came to the bar waiting. And so I got to meet all these amazing people. And I have the best view, and I get to see the sunset because I was the gentleman without a reservation. Yeah. And how life works. It's how business works. It's how money works. It's how relationships work. It's how we can make our difference in the world is we pay attention to the fact there is a perfect timing, and the inklings and the intuitions and the insights, however you get them. For me, it's very visual. I tend to get them in my forehead, but maybe you hear a voice inside that says, now's the time. And maybe now is the time for you, right? And so all that happens, and so I end up at the Buddhist monastery, and I'm totally excited because I've been very interested. I'd gone to Thailand. I met a lot of Buddhists, so I was very interested in all this. And it was an interesting journey. I loved the meditation. We had to make 5 precepts, which was very, very funny. One was you wouldn't drink. One was you wouldn't have sex. You wouldn't lie. You wouldn't steal. I'm trying to remember what the 5th one was. But at any rate, I wasn't too worried about any of them. But what was interesting was my favorite days were the days that we would have 12 hours of meditation and silence. We couldn't talk those days. Yeah. I loved it. And what I came to realize, and I say this a lot of times on my podcast because I think it's an important thing for everyone to hear because it is a sound, that my favorite sound is silence. Came to that through meditation, that silence actually is a sound. And it's beautiful, sweet sound that to me is most comforting more than anything. Because in that silence, we find the truth of ourselves, and our path just reveals itself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like people say, sitting, like a sitting meditation. Well, it feels like doing nothing. It's doing something. It actually is something, even though, some people say, well, I can't just do nothing, but it actually is something. It's like that there is an actual sound to silence. Yeah, I get that.
Well, if you've ever been to a 12-hour meditation, in fact, I'm going to 2 retreats, 2 weekends after my birthday is November 1st, and the next 2 weekends, one in Boulder and one in Crestone, I'm going to a 3-day and then a 4-day meditation retreats, to celebrate my birthday and kind of usher in the new year. So it's a really thing to do. But I have to say, if you've ever done 12 hours of meditation, that there's nothing so wonderful as when they ring the bell and you get to do walking meditation because your body gets a little late. And it's really nice. And I love walking meditation. It's so wonderful. And you can do that by a river or a stream, or just you can go out in a city and do walking meditation. Nobody around you has to know what you're doing. You're just being present. That's really, I had a meditation teacher there, and I was so relieved because I kind of came from a perfection background, right? Kind of a type A here. And first thing she told me, she says, meditation is the practice of being present. And that was just, that was music to my ears because I realized this wasn't about trying to be perfect at meditation. That wasn't the goal. That all I was doing was practicing being present, which is, I think, the most important skill. If you're an entrepreneur and serious about doing something major in terms of building a business and making a difference, you have to make your decisions and learn to be from a place of presence. That's the only way you make a conscious decision and truly evaluate all the possibilities is in the present moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get so busy that we so often miss the present moment. We're going to take another short break, JV, and when we come back, I want to hear more about that. And you've shared lots of ahas already with our listeners, but I'd like to hear other things that you really want people to leave with in terms of a message. So I'm Bonnie Gressel here at the Holistic Entrepreneur, and I'm here tonight with JV Crum III. And he's the founder of ConsciousMillionaire.com. We're going to be right back after this next break.
Are you one of the millions of people who struggle to relax, sleep well, or even lose weight? Have you ever wondered why it's so hard? If you think your brain might have something to do with it, you're right. Now you can learn how to access the powerful energy of the mind-body connection with the Ultimate Health and Wellness Gift Set, a 4-CD collection of guided meditations from holistic nurse practitioner Bonnie Gressel. You can use them all for yourself or split the individually wrapped CDs into gifts for friends and family. The Ultimate Health and Wellness Gift Set includes all of Bonnie's popular CDs, including Restful Sleep, Relax, Meditation for Busy People, and Weight Loss. To get your copy of the Ultimate Health and Wellness Gift Set, go to BonnieGressel.com and click the Products tab. That's BonnieGressl.com.
Welcome back to the Holistic Entrepreneur, everyone. I'm your host, Bonnie Gressel, and I've been here tonight with JV Crum III, founder of the ConsciousMillionaire.com. And we were talking about all sorts of great stories that JV has. Oh my gosh, I could listen to you all night, JV. It's amazing. And we were talking about trusting perfect timing that has really carried you through your life. Now, if you see people listen to the show tonight and they can't fit much more in their brain, all they can do is take away one thing from tonight. What's the one biggest thing that you really want people to leave with tonight?
I think the biggest thing is that inside of you, I was watching a movie a couple of nights ago called Becoming Joe, and it was one piece of it was in Thailand and was retelling the story about the monastery where the Golden Buddha is, which I happen to have seen, and the monks covered it with mud basically to make it look like it was valueless because some army was coming through and they didn't want it plundered, and then they were talking about how inside of each of us is that gold, that the gold is already there. And so I think the most important thing to realize tonight is that we all have gold inside of us. And when you start connecting with that, I call it your true north, and begin to understand the real passionate difference that you want to make with your life, you start to grow a vision. And that vision can grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And at the core of your business, at the core of your life, that vision will be like a magnet that pulls you forward. So the most important thing you can do with your life is to really allow that vision to come forth. Journal. Get clear about what are you passionate about, and you would do it all day long for free. What is that difference you want to make that you know the world, that other people's lives would be better off, and you're so passionate about it that it becomes a driving force that just calls forth to you. And when you get that crystallized and start thinking, well, who could benefit from this? Who wants a piece of this vision? How can it impact someone's life? Because it really, through me making this difference, their life, their organization, their business will be much better off. That's the core for how I think you can live your business and your life. And the one thing that I have found really valuable in working with clients is that I've realized a lot of people have many ideas about what they're going to accomplish in the next few weeks, in the next few months. Usually more things than they can. And I'm often guilty of that as well.
Me too.
Yeah, if you get, Well, in 2 weeks, this 2 weeks, Bonnie, between my show and being a guest, I'm on 42 shows, and I have a lot of other things I'm doing. So there's a bit of humor there. Mm-hmm. But most people do not go out and look at where they want to be, specifically what they want to accomplish. The number one priority you want to accomplish in the next 3 years. You get crystal clear about where you want to be in 3 years. The truth is most people underestimate what they could accomplish in 3 years. Because if you have a six-figure business, you can have a seven-figure business in 3 years. That's a very accomplishable goal. But you've got to get clear about what's that number one priority for you, and why is that number one priority so important that it really is above and beyond anything else you could be doing with your life. Because most people, what I found, is wander in so many different directions. It just wastes time, money, energy, resources. You've got to be crystal focused. So the way to do that, I'm going to give you my formula for creating wealth, is conscious, focused action. And actually, of those three parts, the conscious part is the most important, because that's when you figure out, who am I? What do I most want? What are the possibilities for how I can achieve it? What resources do I need that I don't currently have? And then you get focused, but not just in your mind. You've got to get your heart focused. I mean, we all can relate to the phrase, your whole heart in it. And you know, if your whole heart is in something, that you're totally committed, that you're going to take the path. But this is where health and fitness becomes so important. It's why I started a second podcast on that. Because as entrepreneurs, as people of vision, of people who want to be of service, we've got to be healthy so that we have the physical energy in order to move forward and take action. And it's only when you've discovered what is that one specific result, that's the conscious part, where you want to head, and then you start focusing your mind, your heart, and your body, that you can then list out what are all the actions, what order do I need to take them in, and does anything need to happen external to myself or in my company before any of these actions can occur. And when you do that and you exclude everything else, you just discard it from your life and you say, I'm going after this one result in a very obsessed, positive, obsessed way, that I'm going to get there and nothing's going to start me. I'm going to be consciously focused, taking action to get to that result. I guarantee you, whatever that result is, dream big, because you can accomplish it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Amen. Because I think that's great. That's a great golden nugget to leave people with. That's awesome. So, JV, people are going to want more of you. I can already tell. Just listen, I want more of you. So how do they connect with you? And what kinds of things do you have to offer people to get more of JV Crum?
Well, just go to ConsciousMillionaire.com. Right at the top of the homepage, you can download the First Millionaire Manifesto. It's 7 steps to 7 figures. And really think of these as the 7 qualities for you to develop in order to truly become a millionaire. So that's one place to start, and I would certainly, on that website, invite you to go to the podcast tab. I have 2 podcasts. I have the Conscious Millionaire podcast, Business Coaching for Entrepreneurs. That's 5 days a week. And then the Conscious Millionaire Health Reality Show. That's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you've got the links for them. You can play them right there. You can subscribe to them. All that's absolutely free. And if you currently own a business that has a conscious orientation, you've got to own a business. We don't let anyone in unless you're a business owner. So it's it's a level playing field. On Facebook, you can go to Conscious Millionaire Community. Just ask to join. We check out, and you just see with your Facebook or URL that you own a business, and we'll in, and it's a really great community.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, anyone who's listening tonight, if you want more of JV Crum III, certainly there's many ways to find him, and the best way is probably the website. Connect with him there, and he's got lots of free stuff. I've been on his website, and it's awesome. So thank you so, so much for being with us tonight, JV. I am so appreciative and honored that you've taken the time to spend with this community. Thank you.
Bonnie, thank you for having me as your guest.
Oh, it's been fabulous. So as we say goodnight to JV tonight, we're going to take one more break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the success secret for this week that I always like to share with you as we close the show. This is Bonnie Gressel here at The Holistic Entrepreneur, and I've had a fabulous evening with JV Crum III tonight. So we're going to be right back, everyone.
Writing a book and becoming a published author can be a daunting challenge. Most people don't even know where to begin such a journey, much less how to make it happen. Now you can realize your dream of seeing your book in print with help from the team at M&B Global Solutions. The husband-wife team of Mike Doplays and Bonnie Gressel provides the individualized coaching and publishing services you need to make your book a reality. Contact Mike and Bonnie today for a free consultation at mndbglobalsolutions.com.
Ever wonder how you could get a professionally produced ad like this made for your own product or business? Let the team at M&B Global Solutions create a surprisingly affordable audio or video marketing asset you can call your own. All you have to do is come up with a few bullet points, and the M&B team will do the rest. Use your ad on radio shows like this, your website, or wherever potential customers find you. To learn more, go to mndbglobalsolutions.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Holistic Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Bonnie Gressel, and we've had a fabulous show tonight with JV Crum III. Now, JV helps entrepreneurs grow 6- and 7-figure conscious businesses that combine making high profits and making a positive impact. He's also the author of the best-selling book, Conscious Millionaire, Grow Your Business by Making a Difference. And you can find that on Amazon. So I am so appreciative that JV was able to take time from his busy day, or evening, I should say, to spend time with us here at our community. And I promised you a success secret for the show this week, and I always want to end every show with that. And after listening to our conversation tonight and some of the things that I was thinking about before the show aired, I think the biggest success secret idea that I want to pass on to you is that I think it's important to have a plan. You know, maybe it's some kind of a daily routine. You know, I talked about a few of the things early on in the show that I do as part of my day every day. So think about the business of your business. What kind of plan do you have? You know, if you have a business plan, as an example, it should be a living document that's adapted and changed as your journey unfolds. And then ask yourself, are you doing everything yourself? Ask yourself if you have to. Is there some way that you can better use your time, delegate, get somebody to help? You know, are there time wasters that don't give you any value? Now, I have no problem at all with people spending time on social media or watching humorous videos on YouTube. We need to do that. I mean, humor is a part of life. But if it's not adding value, then maybe that's not the best way to spend time. But if it feeds you in some way, then by all means, make time for that. And, you know, as JV and I both were talking about earlier in the show, taking time to be still, to just pay attention, be present, pay attention to your breathing, or to just do nothing, because doing nothing is still something. So see what you can do to begin incorporating things into your life. And maybe you already have a daily practice. If you do, maybe there's some way that you'd like to tweak it or add something to it after listening to the show tonight. What resonates with you? What fits into your life? You don't have to add things to your to-do list necessarily, but just notice, pay attention to what your day is like. Now, I have another great guest lined up for next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be another awesome show. I just love doing these shows because I meet so many fun and interesting people. And I really want to help you make your holistic entrepreneur journey a bit easier, so that you are one step closer to reaching your dream. I want to thank everyone for listening tonight. I know everyone is so busy. So I want to make sure that these shows are valuable and a great use of your time. And remember, The Holistic Entrepreneur can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Speak Up Talk Radio, and Spreaker, as well as The Holistic Entrepreneur on YouTube now. So check it out and like me if you do, or subscribe. Share this resource with others, and I am so excited to be able to share another show with you next Tuesday. See you all then. Blessings, everyone.
This has been The Holistic Entrepreneur with host Bonnie Gressel. Tune in each week at this time to hear how Bonnie can help make your journey to entrepreneurship an inspiration, and like her on Facebook at Holistic Entrepreneur Talk Radio.